This is the problem with Intel's warranty situation. The Humane AI pins are worse than you thought they were, and Ryzen 9000 is worse than I thought it was going to be. I'm kind of sad. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your bright host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Thursday, August 8th, 2024. You're going to enjoy that breakfast in a closet with me because my family and I are still traveling. We had to move. There was a hurricane that came and it was a whole thing. And so now I am in the place with the best lighting and audio in the entire house that we're staying at. So thank you for pardoning my dust. Rikus is probably having some flashbacks to 2018 right now, and we're just gonna move forward with Intel having the evidence of why their warranty situation did not go far enough, with reports that are now coming out from PC makers who sell Intel-based PCs. This is something that I've discussed. One of the issues that is happening with Raptor Lake CPUs is that Intel has not been clear enough in taking care of their customers to make people feel like they can trust that Intel will honor a faulty CPU if something is wrong, and their latest 2-year extension kind of proves that. If you have a CPU that you bought boxed, contact Intel. If you had one that you bought tray, contact the company you bought it from. And if you bought it from a system integrator PC maker, you're supposed to contact them. But now, The Verge doing some interviews with these companies, finding out who exactly is honoring this extended 2-year warranty. And shocker, it's varied across the board, making it very difficult for customers to feel like they're actually protected. Regardless of whether or not Intel is actually going to take care of them in the long run, the languaging and the reality of the situation is that customers are going to walk away feeling like Intel doesn't have their back, especially when Acer would not promise a warranty extension. ASUS, thankfully, is offering the extension. Dell and Alienware are not promising the warranty extension, but saying all costs are covered, whatever the heck that means. HP is honoring it. Lenovo did not reply. MSI did not reply. Corsair is providing a 4-year total CPU warranty as opposed to the 5 that it's supposed to be. Digital Storm is offering 5 years. And Falcon Northwest saying that they are honoring the 5-year total CPU warranty. Kelt, the CEO and founder of Falcon Northwest, is one of the people who has been constantly updating me on the things that they've been discovering with how faulty Raptor Lake is, the tweaks that they've been actively trying to make sure that their customers feel protected. I've gotten emails, even though I didn't buy a system from them, being updated on how they're fixing the situation. Falcon Northwest's customer service with regards to their PCs and how they're handling the situation is what I'm expecting out of Intel. And if a company like Falcon Northwest, whose orders of magnitude smaller than Intel, can achieve this, that's kind of a bad look on a company who has as many resources as Intel does. But also, I just want to shout out Falcon Northwest just a little bit with them saying that they do have their Falcon overnight service for the first year included in their warranty, where they pay overnight shipping both ways in the event of a major repair. And just that's the level that I believe Intel should be at, and they are clearly not doing it. I know it will cost them money to offer unmitigated returns and replacements for CPUs that are faulty. But I look at companies like Johnson & Johnson, when Tylenol had something tampered with it, and they pulled everything off of the shelves because they didn't want their customers to have any ounce of fear, and then they refactored how they actually make their pill bottles to sell it and make it so that when they came back to market, the customers could trust them. That's kind of where we're at with Intel in terms of CPUs are faulty, they're dying, and we don't know what to do about it. Intel, it appears to be in normal operation mode here when they need to be in catastrophe mode. This is going to severely affect people's ability to trust them down the line. Continuing on with the people that The Verge interviewed, Main Gear has the 5-year total CPU warranty. Origin PC only 4 years. NZXT is not promising a warranty extension. Puget Systems is offering a 3-year total CPU warranty, which is not that great. CyberPower PC didn't reply with the Humane. iBuyPower did, however, reply, and they have the 5-year total warranty. The fact that we have to go through that list is the problem. The fact that it is not just clear cut, and instead we have to start asking questions about who's gonna honor what and what is it, who's gonna actually abide the extension, and are they listening to Intel or are they not? This feels like a car dealership situation where like Ford is trying to get things going on the EV side, but the dealers don't want to provide it because it's gonna cost them money. It's also gonna cost the end user trust, and that's where we're at. But saying all of that, let's look to the future of what Intel has to offer, because they held an event in China and we got some details coming out with regards to Battlemage GPUs coming to the desktop, as well as Arrow Lake updates and alleged updates with the Raptor Lake microcode. So Battlemage is supposedly going to be hitting the market this year, Q4 2024. So in case you want the 50% faster IPC or performance throughput of a Battlemage GPU, that's allegedly coming to desktop later this year. I'm quite excited for that. Additionally, updates to the Raptor Lake microcode. Intel said at their event in China that the BIOS update should not affect frequency capabilities and will maintain overclock functionality, and that you shouldn't see a degrade in performance. We obviously can't verify that until it actually happens. But then additionally, with Arrow Lake's next-gen CPUs, they will have 100 watts lower power consumption while maintaining those higher frequencies, which is going to be important to compete with AMD, as we'll talk about in a little bit. And that they're expected to be impressive performance details to come out at some point in the future, which is neat. And this was a collab event with ASUS, who said that their motherboards are highly impressive. So there you go. Well, you know who I'm highly impressed with, and kind of means the same thing because I employ the guy. I'm impressed with Reece. I want to see his deals.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. I'm going to be a little bit quieter today because I have a sore throat and speaky wordy hurt, but I still have deals for you today. So here's the Cybenetics Air Cooler Twin Fan CPU Air Cooler, available in black for only $16.99, making it $43 off. But then next up, we have the very recently released Elgato Stream Deck Neo, going for what is probably its first sale ever at $84.99, making it $15 off. I personally want one because it has dedicated page turn buttons, so you don't have to use up extra buttons just for that. And then lastly, we have the Thermaltake Tower 200 Snow Mini ITX case, also for only $84.99, making it $15 off. And hey, with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Well, Reece, it doesn't look like companies can be in much worse of a deal than what Humane is in right now, because reports are coming out that Humane's daily returns is outpacing their sales. This doesn't shock me or anybody who's paying attention to what a Humane AI pin does, which is basically nothing that your phone doesn't already do, but then on top of that, it does it significantly worse and overheats and makes it just so that it's cumbersome and difficult. So reports are coming out from internal sales data that was obtained by The Verge that there have only been 8,000 units that haven't been returned, according to one source, and roughly 7,000 according to another source, which means that they are getting returned on a more frequent basis than people are purchasing them, and there's more returns coming in than are going out. And that they've only done $9 million in lifetime total sales, and about 1,000 purchases were canceled before shipping, and over $1 million worth of product has been returned, especially for a company that's been trying to get $750 million to $1 billion in terms of being bought out. This is pathetic. However, when The Verge reached out to Humane, they said that they are not going to comment on these, even though there are inaccuracies, but they're not going to say what they are, and that they are going to refer it to their legal counsel. So we'll see how this plays out, but this definitely kind of goes along with my confirmation bias of how bad the Humane AI pin is, but it gets worse in the report because the Humane AI pin allegedly can't even be refurbished because of some issue with T-Mobile's data being transferred to a new user. So these are effectively e-waste unless Humane can actually negotiate a new deal where this isn't happening with T-Mobile, and otherwise they are just going to die in a landfill, kind of like Spotify's car thing. And given how badly the Humane AI pin is performing, it doesn't seem like this company is going to exist long enough to iron out a deal for a product that is getting returned at this large of a basis. So these are all things that I want to believe about Humane AI pin based on what I know about the product and the details of what I've seen from other reviewers. I will wait and see if this actually gets confirmed, but I don't expect Humane to be around very much longer. And you might not want to expect 80 plus as a certification rating to be around much longer, because Corsair announcing that they are ditching that and going over to Cybenetics. This is something that we've talked about with some of our Silverstone sponsorships with their power supplies. Cybenetics tests their power supplies in a different way, including with things like noise level assessments, as well as making sure that there's an efficiency test across various loads, not just at specific points like 80 Plus does, which has made it easy to rig the 80 Plus certification, which is why you also have to look at things like the power supply tier list that's out there on the internet to see whether or not, even if it's 80 Plus gold rated, is this power supply actually gonna blow up? Because the 80 Plus rating is only meant to certify it at specific loads. Cybenetics tries to certify it at various loads and also has things like noise testing, which is just more comprehensive overall. Companies like Silverstone have already transitioned, Corsair's transitioning, maybe 80 Plus as a certification organization might update things a little later on down the line to compete here, but Cybenetics appears to be the new way to judge your power supply, as well as going to look at the power supply tier list. And I had to look at all of the reviews that came out yesterday for the Ryzen 9000 series chips, because as mentioned, we did not get review samples here at UFD Tech, and it's bad. It is not that good. However, it is also really great, and it's a very middling launch. And so as always, Video Cards puts together a compilation list of all the reviewers who have tested these CPUs, whether it's the 9600X or the 9700X. And if you go and watch various different sources, I watched a whole bunch of reviews. You got Level 1 Techs, you got Hardware Unboxed, you got Linus Tech Tips, etc. One of the large consensus is that this is a mid-launch, if not downright bad. However, if you go and watch some of the nitty-gritty details, like the fact that the Ryzen 9000 chips now support AVX 512, which is something Intel has dropped entirely, these CPUs perform phenomenally well in those specific workloads. And one of the key things that came out is that these CPUs are significantly more efficient than the previous generation, provided that you don't turn PBO or Precision Boost Overdrive on, which is a form of overclocking. If you do that, I've seen some of the reviewers saying that they got marginal improvements of like 3 to 4%. There's some other benchmarks where it could be closer to 10% improvements with PBO on, depending on the CPU. So it really comes across as like this is a upgrade for sure in efficiency, as long as the CPU is locked down, and it's going to roughly compete with the 7000 series, as long as we ignore the 7800X 3D and we kind of ignore the 5800X 3D. These chips are fairly good. It's just that it's kind of like back in the late 2000s when there was the focus on improving fuel efficiency over increasing horsepower. And so we're kind of in that where Zen 5, they've made some tweaks under the hood that make it a better CPU, but it seems that mostly the focus is on they want you to get 50 miles to the gallon as opposed to getting 400 horsepower at the wheel. That's the general vibe that's going on here. So if you're on Ryzen 7000, this is a no-go, but typically most people don't upgrade every generation either way. Based on a lot of companies that I talked to, the average upgrade cycle is 5 to 7 years. And so if you look 5 years ago, we're looking at 2019, Ryzen 3000, this is a pretty good upgrade. You go 7 years ago, you're on first gen Ryzen, maybe an FX 8350, maybe you're on a 7700K. This is a great upgrade. This is phenomenal. You just 65 watt parts that can go toe to toe with something that consumes way more power from the previous generation. For people who are on a typical upgrade cycle, the 9000 series does appear to be performing very well, especially when you consider that they're dropping the price at launch versus the Ryzen 7000. But at the same time, buying a Ryzen 7000 chip at a used price still makes a lot of sense. The 9700X is at $359. The 7800X 3D is going for well under that at many different points. So it actually just gives you kind of another option. You can go with the latest and greatest, get more efficiency out of your performance, or you can go with Ryzen 7000. Either way, the answer appears to be go with AMD for CPUs kind of right at this moment, because Intel's warranty situation is not fully resolved. Additionally, they don't have the microcode update out yet where you can trust that the CPUs are going to be fixed. And until that happens, it makes it tricky for anybody to say that they want to go with a 14900K versus the 9700X or, you know, the 9950X once that finally drops. But AMD appears to know that they need to sweeten the pot a little bit, so they're adding in a new game bundle for the Ryzen 7000 series CPUs, not 9000. You get Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 and Unknown 9 Awakening if you buy either the 7000 series CPU or GPU, so you can get that. But speaking of the Warhammer thing, ASUS announced that they're doing a collaboration GPU, which just makes me so mad because I wish they would sell this, but they teased it. It's gonna be a giveaway. You got companies like Sapphire making the Frostpunk 2 GPU where it looks gorgeous, and they sold it. I bought one. I have it. I'm building a PC with it. And then you have companies like ASUS and AMD showing these off and then never selling them. We did this recently with the Cyberpunk 2080 Ti. We found that you could buy the shroud over on eBay, and so we did that and upgraded to Founders Edition. I'm just half a decade too late on that. And I don't want to be late reading your comments, so let's see what you had to say in yesterday's episode of Hot News. We had Z-Shrink saying, I'm a little sad to say I was confused about Hot News yesterday until around 10 in the morning when I saw an article about the hurricane. Then I became worried, and then you popped into Twitch chat and I became significantly less worried. Glad you and the family are safe. Yeah, we're good. Biggest hiccup was losing internet for 18 hours. The rain, big problem. A lot of flooding, a lot of the winds really weren't that bad. I mean, I lived in Florida for a long time. Category 1 hurricanes don't typically scare people who are from Florida. There is potential danger, especially with like trees and power lines and etc. But for the most part, the biggest problem with Debbie has been the rain, and so we've had to adapt and adjust, and here we are in this closet. Hi, I'm saying hi to you from the mirror. And then we got Peachness saying, a channel with 1 million plus subs doesn't get review samples. Are you on AMD's naughty list or something? This is a complex situation, so I'm probably on their naughty list, right? Like when you constantly call companies out and speak about the things that they're doing wrong, you don't tend to get invited to things. I'm sure has played a part in somebody's decision somewhere to not include me on the list. I think I have it narrowed down, and at least this is my understanding. Most companies look at UFD Tech and they're like, these guys don't do reviews because it's been mostly Hot News for the most part. But that was because when I moved back to the United States after our issue with my son in South Africa, I had to focus on what I could do when I was in survival mode of like, I'm here to just take care of my son. I don't have the capacity to review things. I don't have any contacts with American companies to kind of reach out. And so like, it was kind of a weird middling time where it was all about survival. COVID happened as well, which just made things even more focused for us on like, we just have to do what works. And I don't have the extra capacity to review things. And so that made it so that the channel looks like we don't do reviews, even though that's our origin and is what I want to do. It's what I enjoy doing. I want to get back to that. It's just been a lot of years of trying to kind of reignite what we had back in 2019 before we left South Africa. And we're at that point now, right? So there are things changing behind the scenes that you haven't seen yet, but we've hired additional people. We're working to actually get more reviews out. We ran into a hiccup that I went on workcation where a lot of stuff is launching right now, like Ryzen 9000, the new Ryzen AI 300 chips from AMD. We have 2 laptops that we are currently reviewing back at the studio, but it's all getting delayed because I'm not there. And so that, like, once that happens, then the companies are like, oh, hey, you didn't get it out on release day, so we're not gonna send it to you on release day next time. And so it creates this whole situation where I'm sure we're on a naughty list somewhere, but mostly it's because of how I've chosen to keep the channel going that has made it so that we don't look like we should get review samples. And we haven't built that audience over the last 5 years since we left South Africa. So it's a multifaceted thing where it's existential and something that I have been, you can ask anybody on my team. I have been severely bothered by this over the last 5 years that we've been back. This is not the direction I wanted to take the channel in, but it was the direction that was necessary. And so now we're past 1 million, right? Like things are cranking. We got good vibes going here at UFD Tech. Everything is coming up Millhouse here. And so we're entering into a new season. That's what I'm looking forward to right now. This vacation's kind of gonna be the capstone on what UFD Tech used to be, and then when we get back, it's gonna be, I forget what my calculus is. I think we'll be in UFD Tech 7.0. That's the newest iteration. So it's a good question. It's a valid question. It's something that I have created myself. and it's going to take a lot of work to undo that, and we're actively working to make that happen. But my capacity as a YouTube channel runner, as a business owner, as a father, as a husband, has all been stretched so thin over the last 5 years that I've been really trying to get things working, and it did not come out the way that I envisioned that this channel would at one point. And then we got Volna saying, I don't get it. AMD is releasing low-end GPUs, but not Ryzen 3 because the cost wouldn't cover the price of the development and manufacturing. Why does the price of the GPUs cover the cost? Or is it just bad chips from higher end or older GPUs that they just want to get rid of? They are coming out with Ryzen 3. We've already gotten reports of that, just kind of similar to the RX 73 and 7400. The low-end GPUs and the low-end CPUs are allegedly supposed to both be coming to market. It's not just one or the other. So you may have missed the announcement that they're going to be doing that, but it's going to be based on Zen 4, not Zen 5. So it's going to be an older generation. And it's kind of the same thing where they're trying to make sure that they make the money where they need to first, and then they'll focus on budget gamers whenever, which is one of the competitive advantages Intel has. And I think Linus brought this up in his review. 14100. You can't really get anything from AMD at that price point brand new right now unless you're going multi-generations old. And so both GPU and CPU getting lower end stuff. And I'm gonna lower myself out of this closet now. Hannes is over. See you back here hopefully tomorrow for more of the hottest tech news.